Hello all you box office maniacs out there, and welcome to Monster Month. That's right, It Figures becomes Monster Month this month. All October long, It Figures becomes Monster Month. And what do we have for It Figures besides a great big eyeball? Well, let me show you. Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Yes, the whole Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn is right here in front of you. It's all right there. There's its teeth. Oh. No, actually, this is a figure. What figure, pray tell, could it possibly be? Even though it's shiny and it's got a reflection, what figure could this be? Such a cool cover. It's basically from the poster, from the movie poster. What figure is this? Well, let me show you, because I'm pretty sure they show it on the back of this box, so let me show you the back. That's right, it's everybody's favorite horror action star, Bruce Campbell, as Ash Williams. So this here is, of course, the back of the box, and I'm getting reflections off the light, of course, once again, because it's kind of a shiny box. But here's the back. And it gives some detail about Ash and the story. Okay, so of course, like most of these Neca figures, this is one of the ultimate figures that they made. And of course it has the little Velcro pop open cover. So we pop it open and there it is. There's Ash in all his glory. Right there. Mr. Bruce Campbell. There he is. And of course it's reflecting, everything's reflecting on it on here. But it looks pretty cool, I have to tell you. I'm pretty impressed. I was actually really impressed with this when I heard they were coming out with it. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get Ash Williams. I have to get an Evil Dead figure. Especially from Evil Dead 2. I mean, come on, that's like a given. Okay, over here on the inside of the cover we have another picture of Ash, a great big picture of Ash Williams there in the cabin with holding his axe. Wow, there is a whole lot of reflections going on here and I totally apologize for that. But so without further ado, I'm going to open up Ash here, and for the very first time. I've actually had this figure since about last year. I think right around this time. I think that's when I bought it. Maybe just before that. And I found it, of all places, I found it at Toys R Us. So that tells you something. Toys R Us was still open when they had this. So let's open it up and take a closer look at Ash Williams from Evil Dead Part 2. Okay, so here's Ash out of the box and just in the blister pack here. I haven't taken him out of that just yet because I wanted to show you everything a little better without all the reflections from the lights. So we got quite a bit of stuff to go over here. So we're gonna have some fun with this, that's for sure. And I have to say, the sculpt is really good. He really does actually look a lot like Bruce Campbell. I mean, he resembles him quite well, actually. And of course he's got, the blood all over his forehead, and his hair's all slicked back and sweaty and wet. His shirt is all dark and sweaty and muddy and everything. That's really cool. Of course, right there they have his stump that he taped up with duct tape. And this side is just his normal hand, and it's obviously curled so that he can hold his boomstick. I also like how they did his pants. I mean, his pants are, they're dirty and muddy and everything, and it's even ripped where it was supposed to be ripped. And his shoes, there's his shoes. And here's Ash's backside if you ever wanted to see his hair. And his sweaty back. Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking figure. I have to admit, it's a pretty good figure. And it stands up pretty well. It takes a little bit of doing to actually get him there to stand up, just kind of positioning his feet. but once he's standing up, it looks like he stands up pretty good. Okay, so Ash has got several points of articulation. One being, of course, his head is ball jointed, so you can turn his head and twist it any which way you want. There. His arms are, I kind of lifted him earlier, so his arms you can lift straight out, or of course you can also turn his arms there. And so his elbow is actually jointed there, so you can actually bend his arm up and down, back and forth. So he's got some articulation there, and it's the same on this side too with his stump. Then his waist can also turn and pivot. So his feet or his shoes actually have a little bit of articulation in them, not much. You can kind of swivel them just a bit. I don't want to do it too much because as David's, they got peg holes there. If you ever want to stand them there. Ever find a action figure stand you can stand them on. It's got peg holes on the bottom of it. So obviously Ash came with a bunch of accessories, and we're going to take a closer look at each one of them. Here we go. Alright, so the first accessory we're going to take a look at is obviously Ash's other head. He's got a second head that you obviously can replace the head that's on him with this one, where it's the evil Ash from Evil Dead 2, where the Evil Dead has taken over his body. It's a really good likeness, actually. It's pretty cool. I mean, they got the deep eyes and the red around the eyes, and of course they're all rolled back in his head. And his hair is pretty much the same. And of course he's got the cuts and the bruises and the blood all over his face and his ears. So here we have Ash's hands, and one of them is just his normal hand, and I decided to do them this way because it obviously when I hold them they're small enough that my fingers take up everything on them. And this is, I guess, his normal hand, and it's got a peg hole in there so you can pop off one of the other hands and put this on. So this one over here is his evil hand, and it's even got the black fingernails and everything on it. This is the one that, of course, the evil got into his hand and it went bad, as he says in the movie. But there you have it. There's his two hands that you can... Okay, this one, it doesn't look like you can pop this on. It's just his evil dead hand. So obviously this is Ash's arm with a peg on it, and it looks like it's when he, gets possessed, because the fingernails are dark and bloody, and that's where, I guess that's where he got bit. Maybe this is supposed to be before he actually turned, when he got bit by Sheila, his girlfriend. So on the top of it though, it's got that peg on there so you can pop off one of the arms and put this one on. But also right here at the top, up here, is where the peg enters. You can also, you can see where the peg will actually bend. So once you pop this on there, his arm will actually bend as well. So you got that point of articulation to go along with the rest of the figure. So I think Neca did a pretty good job on all these sculpts. I mean, this is really detailed. They're so very finely detailed, and the paint job is great. There's no real overspray on any of this stuff. It really looks great. So next up, obviously, we have the 2-reel tape deck, where Ash actually plays the translated words of the Necronomicon, and which brings back the evil and brings them out of the woods to the cabin, where they say the infamous words Klaatu Barada Niktu. So of course you can't have the 2-reel tape deck that translates the Book of the Dead without actually having the Book of the Dead right there. There it is. And let me tell you, I know it's probably, this is really small, so it's probably really hard to see it, but this is incredibly detailed. It even has teeth, it looks like. Looks like the one that had the teeth on it. Well, that's what it looks like at the bottom anyway. Here's the back of it. All leather bound and human skin. And there's the pages right there. And this is the axe he uses to cut up the one character in there that has all the green blood. And as you can see, it's painted in green from all the green blood. Very cool. And of course we have Ash's boomstick. But unfortunately, this is the one disappointment about it, is it's not actually cut off. It's not the sawed-off shotgun that he had. But it is very highly detailed, extremely highly detailed. Looks so good. Very good likeness of the rifle itself. Awesome. And last but not least, we have the possessed head of Sheila, his girlfriend. And this is also really highly detailed. Very good sculpt. I love it. And there's the bottom of her head. You know, it's all bloody. Very nice. Very highly detailed. And I got him holding his axe there because I tried to put his boomstick in his hand, but it was really hard to try to do that. So I didn't want to end up breaking off one of his fingers trying to get, you know, the rifle into his hand. So I just went ahead and put his axe actually in there. I know David's had some issues with Neca lately. Pretty much they've been like, some of his figures had like literally like fallen apart as soon as he opens them. But so far this one looks like it's all together and holding up pretty well, I have to say. But he looks amazing. I mean, this looks like an amazing figure, and I'm so glad I picked it up when I did. I actually found it for like 20 bucks at Toys R Us last year. So I went in and picked this up, and I'm pretty pleased with it. I think Neca did a fabulous job with it. The sculpt is awesome. The paint is awesome. The articulation. It's got so much. One thing I forgot to show is actually the articulation of his hand. You can actually turn his hand left or right. As you can see, you can actually rotate his hand. So yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with this figure. I think they did a fine job on it. I think it's awesome. I actually did have another Ash figure from the McFarlane line of movie figures that they came out with from Army of Darkness. And unfortunately I had a cousin of mine pick it up off my desk, and when he did, he went to move it and totally ripped the arm right off. I mean, it just came right off. So luckily that was a McFarlane figure and it wasn't this one. So this one so far looks like it holds up pretty well. I also had one of the evil Ashes from Army of Darkness where he actually had like the skull headdress and all of that, also from McFarlane. I think this one so far is the best one I've ever seen. This really is a great figure and totally awesome. So thanks for joining us for Monster Month, and be sure and subscribe if you like what you saw here, where all month long we are bringing you nothing but horror related everything. So to see all this stuff, you've got to subscribe. So hit the subscribe button down there and give us a like and tell me what you thought of the Ash figure from Evil Dead 2 by leaving me comments below.